Sage the Dragon, Episode 3, The Ride Home. Crystal tea has several useful properties. It clarifies perception, calms emotional turbulence, and encourages logical reasoning. These qualities make it extremely popular among dragons. They also make it slightly dangerous among humans. The astronauts sitting around Sage's crystal table had just finished their second cup. The effect was noticeable. Their conversation had become remarkably focused. For the first time in several months, they were discussing their situation without irritation, politics, or speculation. Just facts. The first astronaut cleared her throat. "Let's summarize," she said. "We are currently in an asteroid that contains artificial gravity, atmospheric control, and a dragon." Everyone nodded. "The dragon," she continued carefully, "possesses a food synthesizer that turns starlight into gingerbread." More nodding. "And this asteroid appears to be moving through orbit with precise control." At this point, all eyes turned towards Sage. The dragon sipped his tea politely. "Yes," he said in their minds. "That is accurate." The astronauts exchanged glances. Clarity of thought is sometimes inconvenient. One of them leaned forward. "Hypothetically," he said, "could your asteroid travel somewhere else?" Sage tilted his head. "Of course." "How fast?" Sage considered the question. "Fast enough," he said, "that orbital mechanics become more of a suggestion than a rule." The astronauts sat very still. The first astronaut spoke again. "Our return vehicle has been delayed for political reasons." Sage nodded sympathetically. "Yes," he said, "your species has a remarkable talent for delaying practical solutions." The astronauts could not disagree. One of them gestured vaguely toward Earth, visible through the observation aperture. "Hypothetically," she said slowly, "could you transport us down there?" Sage looked at the planet. Then he looked back at the humans. "Certainly." Silence filled the chamber. The astronauts processed this statement. Their training manuals contained several sections on emergency procedures, diplomatic protocol, and extraterrestrial contact. None of those sections included a chapter titled "Accepting a Ride Home from a Dragon." Another astronaut spoke carefully. "Would that be difficult for me?" Sage asked. "No, for us." Sage smiled faintly. "That depends entirely on how much attention you would like to attract." The astronauts thought about this. Human civilization was not entirely prepared for dragons appearing in the sky. On the other hand, they had been stranded in orbit for nearly a year. Another astronaut rubbed his temples. "Okay," he said slowly. "Let's think logically." The crystal tea was still working. "If the dragon transports us to Earth," he continued, "we return safely." Everyone agreed with that. "If we report the event," he continued, "governments will panic." Also accurate. "If we don't report the event," he continued, "eventually someone will notice a dragon." Sage nodded approvingly. "Your reasoning is improving." One astronaut looked directly at the dragon. "Why help us at all?" Sage folded his wings comfortably. "Dragons have observed your civilization for a long time," he said. "Sometimes young species require assistance." The astronauts waited. "Also," Sage added, "you appear to need tea." This explanation seemed reasonable. They finished the gingerbread cake in thoughtful silence. Eventually, the first astronaut stood. "Well," she said, "if we're going to do this, we should prepare." Sage rose gracefully from the table. "Excellent," he said. He walked toward the meteor's central chamber. The walls shifted subtly as hidden systems awakened. Panels of crystal lit softly. Outside, the asteroid's crystal gardens began to glow. The astronauts followed cautiously. "What exactly is happening?" one of them asked. Sage gestured toward the observation window. "Navigation." The Earth rotated below them. Clouds moved across continents. City lights glittered along the night side of the planet. Sage examined the atmosphere carefully. "Your civilization appears to prefer dramatic entrances," he said thoughtfully. "We will avoid that." The astronauts appreciated this plan. The meteor hummed gently. Outside, space bent slightly around the crystal structures embedded within the asteroid. It was not propulsion in the human sense. It was something older, more elegant. One astronaut stared through the window. "Are we moving?" "Yes," Sage replied. The Earth below began growing larger. Not quickly, but with unmistakable purpose. Sage glanced back at his guests. Before we arrive, he said, I should explain something. The astronauts listened carefully. Your species will likely react to this situation in several predictable ways. Fear, he continued. Awe, curiosity. He paused, and attempts to steal my technology. The astronauts exchanged awkward glances. Sage did not appear offended. Do not worry, he said gently. This is normal. Outside the meteor, the blue planet filled the sky. The dragon adjusted the meteor's course slightly. Now, then, Sage said, where would you prefer to land?